Hello, 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 hello. Don't know how to start. Okay. Hello, lovelies. So I'm Caitlin Maloney from Ragamuffin Pet Photography, as you will have probably guessed if you're watching this. A few weeks ago, I put up a post on Facebook and Instagram saying that I would finally be doing a Q&A because I do get people ask me quite often, and then it's just a bit of a nightmare to answer questions individually, so I thought it would be a good idea to put them all in a video. Hopefully I'm right. It took me a few weeks to get actually onto filming this, so I apologise for that. Ended up booking a bigger job than I expected for the month. But here we are, it's the beginning of August, and I have questions. I've screenshotted them on my phone. I haven't actually gone through and thought about the answers yet, so I apologise if there's lots of ums and ahs, but hey Lyra! Mwah. But yes, I figured it would be better if I was speaking just normal, as I would with you if we were having a conversation face to face. Anyway, alright, I am just going to leap into these. I've never done anything like this before, so hopefully it goes okay. First up, Angelica Martinez Luted asked, I love the post that you did about the back end of your business on Hair of the Dog vlog, and I was curious if you've discovered any newer or better systems. Thank you, Angelica. Actually, I'm still working with the same systems that I wrote about those years ago. Basically, I'm a big advocate of automating and systemizing as much of your business as you can in the non-creative aspects. Things like your workflow and your emails and your schedule and all those boring admin aspects of a photography business, I believe you should automate because there's tools out there that let you automate, so why not take advantage of those and give yourself more hours either to work on the creative aspect of your business or to not be working and actually have a life. Either one, that's the benefit of automation. So the big ones that I use are Zapier, which basically connects different platforms together, and it's like if something happens on your website, then it will trigger something to happen in your workflow. I use Insightly as my workflow management. There are a lot of photographer specific management systems which people recommend. I don't use those, I just use Insightly. It's very easy and it works as Zapier for me, and I just have all my systems in there. The to-dos for each session are the same, basically. So it means that things don't get lost. I'm not trying to remember what I have to do next or anything like that. It's just there. I use Schedule Once for my calendar, which plays with my Google Calendar, and I will put a screenshot here of basically how that looks. There is nothing more frustrating than a back and forth between, does this date suit you, does that date suit you, blah blah blah. So now my clients can see all my available hours for 2016 and 2017. So yeah, Schedule Once, that's a big one. What else did she ask? She also asked any tips, lessons learned throughout the years on business practices on clients. She said she's going to be launching her pet photography business here in California, and she's been following for some time. So thank you, Angelica, so much for for following along with Ragamuffin. I really appreciate it. My biggest tip that I would have learnt over, how long have I been doing this? 6 years now. It's gonna be like a bit of a fluffy tip, but it's really genuine, so I hope that you don't mind it being fluffy. I normally like to give really specific, like actionable advice, but my biggest advice that I could give is to be yourself in... Lyra, what is up? Sorry if she's being really loud. I think she thinks I'm talking to her because there's no one else in this room, and she's getting a bit confused. Yeah, mummy's a weirdo. Yeah, it's just to be yourself. People ask questions sometimes like, should I post this or is it too personal? Anyone who has been following me for a while knows that there's pretty much nothing that I don't share with my clients and my friends, and the people following Ragamuffin, they get little, I don't know, little snippets into my life. They know all about my pets, and I just believe that it's really important to be myself in front of my clients. I don't know, I'm rambling now. Basically what I'm saying is save the professionalism for the product that you produce and for your systems and, you know, the turnaround times and that sort of thing. In all those aspects, absolutely be professional. But I don't think that you get any sort of benefit from your business from being overly professional in the way that you talk to your clients. because at the end of the day, it's a really personal service that we offer at being pet photographers. And I think people like it if you can have a chat at the end of the session, just, you know, connect as people who love their dogs. It doesn't have to be super profesh. So, well, I don't think so anyway. Okay, so thank you, Angelica. Paul, oh, you know guys, I don't actually know how to pronounce your last name. Paul is a lovely client of mine, Thunen, I think, but I've just realised I've never actually said it out loud. But yeah, Paul from the Foons gang asked, how can I improve the photos I take inside? Paul's been taking loads more photos of his gorgeous furry family lately, which I have been stalking myself. My biggest piece of advice for taking photos inside, which I do quite often, especially with cats, obviously. I very rarely get a cat who we can photograph outside. So with cats or for dogs who are cuddling up on the couch or anything like that, what you want to do is make sure it's near a window, obviously, because natural light tends to look a lot prettier than your tungsten globes or anything like that, mostly because they're from above, which is the same reason why we don't want to photograph in the middle of the day. Sunlight or any lighting from above creates those yucky shadows, so we don't want those. So you want side lighting. So find a window, or if it's in the middle of the night, you can always, if you don't have flash or you don't want to use flash, you can just like point a lamp towards a wall and then bounce that light off, and it's a nice soft light, which is what I did for my Misty Moose photos before we said goodbye to her. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning and I didn't have any of my lighting. I didn't particularly want to set up flash, and I just bounced a lamp off the wall because we wanted to take photos right then and there, and it was pretty late at night. If your camera allows, you can bump up the ISO. Obviously there's a limit to how far you can go, and every camera body will be different. What else would be my tips? Do it so that they're facing towards the light, not facing away, because you also want those catch lights, which is basically the little reflection of a lighting source, so a window or the sun or whatever. That's what makes photos look really pretty. It's my little not so technical tip. Thanks for asking, Paul. Who's next? Oh, drop my phone. Oh, on a related note, Bernadette Bloomer asked, do I only use natural lighting? No, I don't only use natural lighting, but I'd say 95% of the time I do. If it's a really dark house, then I will, as a last resort, use flash. I really don't enjoy using flash with cats because it frightens them. So I think I've only tried it once or twice. I generally don't even bother, because once a cat's frightened, then it's really hard to get them back. So I much prefer using constant light sources with animals. I don't even really use reflectors anymore, which is crazy when I think about my pre-pet stage. I used to carry a reflector to every shoot and used it religiously. I've also found pets get a little ugh with the big reflector, so don't really use those anymore either. And generally I photograph in the 2 hours before sunset, which is the golden hour. You can find good lighting at any time of day. It's just really pretty lighting towards the end, towards sunset. So that means like 3 o'clock sessions in winter and 6 o'clock sessions in summer. But yes, basically that's me, natural light. Meg West asks, do you always go to off-lead areas? What if the owner is too anxious to let their dog off lead? And how do you deal with awkward or anxious owners altogether? Okay, so that's basically a 3-parter, and I will answer them all. I definitely do not always go to off-lead areas. In fact, I prefer not to go to an off-lead area, because it generally means that there are going to be a lot of other dogs at that off-lead area, and it's much easier to work with a dog when there aren't a bunch of other distractions around. So obviously if you were just looking at my photos and you didn't know the way that I shoot, you would assume that we were in off-lead areas all the time because there's no leash on the dog. But that is the beauty of Photoshop. So almost all the time I'm photographing in parks or spots in the city or spots on the beach, and the dog actually has a leash on during the photo shoot, and then later we go in and we remove it digitally, which is fantastic. It makes it a safer environment for the dog. It means that the human isn't all stressed out, and yeah, I feel better, especially when we're in the city, because obviously traffic and everything. I would have a little heart attack if we had a dog off leash there. So if my client does have a off-lead park like around the corner from their house that they have a lot of good memories, I don't mind like stopping in for 10-15 minutes so we can have a good run if the dog does have good recall and we're happy to let him off lead. But yeah, I prefer not to be in an off-lead area. Again, what if the dog owner is too anxious to let their dog off lead? Either the owner or me is going to be anxious about letting their dog off lead if they don't have good recall. Absolutely 100% of the time, the puppy's safety comes first. So yeah, we would just leave them on lead. The way that I do it is, any Ragamuffin clients will understand the awkwardness of how we photograph it. They have to kind of stand to the side with the leash, because it's much easier for me to Photoshop it out later, or for my retoucher, if the lead isn't like dragging along their body, if it's just going straight up, so they kind of hold it a little taut, then either myself or my retoucher can go in easily afterwards and get rid of that, make it all pretty. And then finally, how do I deal with awkward or anxious owners altogether? I love my awkward clients because I relate to them completely. I am a total introvert, which I think surprises a lot of people who only know me online, because I guess I seem a little braver when I'm typing behind my computer, but no, absolutely a shy introvert. I'm the person at the party who searches out for the dog, and yeah. So yeah, I have no problem with awkward or anxious clients. We can have a good little awkward giggle together. In terms of them being awkward in front of the camera, which I totally understand. When I had my wedding photos, I was like, ugh, this is the worst thing ever. It's more about just being honest with my client, being like, look, I know that we want the photos to look natural and candid and blah, 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 but if you're not looking good, I'm gonna step in and tell you, actually, can you move your hand here or move your hand there? And I think them knowing that I'm not gonna let them look like an idiot in front of the camera lets people relax a bit, and then they can just sort of play with their dog and be themselves, and then I can sort of give them any instructions if they need to move a bit or anything like that. Yeah, that's basically that, but I don't mind awkward or anxious clients, it's fine. Ella Viaja asked, how did you work out your pricing structure for your business? So, pricing is complicated, as anyone running their own business or their own photography business will understand. Essentially, because I could talk about pricing for 3 hours, and I have done that with classes before, but essentially the way that I work out my pricing is a combination of the cost of goods, canvases, frames, blah, 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 cost of running my business, insurance, equipment, website, etc., etc., plus the salary that I need to have to live. This is my full-time job, so I need to pay my bills and pay my mortgage and buy my groceries and all of that, and that has to be built into the cost of the session as well, obviously. So the actual session fee, if you want to jump onto my website, all my pricing is there anyway, the session fee itself really doesn't cover anything more than just the time. It doesn't really cover any costs of businesses or anything like that, which is why I sell prints and digital files and albums and all of those things afterwards. All the full-time photographers that I know need to do the business that way, because otherwise we would have to be photographing all day, every day, and not sleep in order to be able to cover everything. So basically, see, I could talk about this for a while. Basically, what you do is, once you work out how many clients you can reasonably book per year on workload-wise, you don't want to overbook yourself and kill yourself either, and you know your business expenses and you know the salary that you need to take home, go backwards like that to work out what your session fee, like basically work out what you need to make per session and organize your pricing like that. Stephanie, a lovely client of mine who I photographed maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Anyway, Steph asked, how do you deal with dogs that won't sit still for photos, or dogs who are anxious? Well, Bella was fine. So Stephanie was a little worried that Bella might be anxious in front of the camera or with a new person. As you might remember, Stephanie, or for anyone else who is interested in that, a large part of particularly the first part of the session was spent me playing with Bella and giving her treats and trying with sticks and balls and seeing sort of what it was that she was going to respond to with me. She didn't take treats at the beginning of the session, which a lot of anxious dogs don't, because they're kind of shy and they no food from strangers, though she was eating lots of schmackos by the end of the session, which was exciting for us because it means you can sort of lead them and get them to do really interesting things. But yeah, for a shy or anxious dog, a lot of the time if they will take food, then we do basically clicker training, except with the shutter, because the loud shutter noise of the camera sometimes surprises them a little bit. So it's kind of like click, treat, click, treat, click, treat. And then with really, really shy or really, really anxious dogs who absolutely are not used to other, sorry about my phone, who absolutely are not used to other people and cats too, then I start on the 70 to 200 lens, which lets me be a lot further away from them. Bella didn't need that at all, but occasionally especially rescue dogs or really, really shy cats, we do have to do that. Start further away and then edge closer and closer and closer. That's why I have no time limits and we just spend the afternoon together and everyone gets there in the end. I've never met a dog I couldn't photograph, so yeah, it'll be fine. So many questions, I wonder if I'm taking too long. Shakira on Instagram asked, "Hi Caitlin, I met you at the Dog Lovers show." I remember. "And I would love to know more about how you established your own business. That would be amazing. Thank you, Shakira." So the background of my business is I have always been a photographer, at least like, obviously not when I was 10 years old. For my entire working adult life, I've been a photographer. So it's a little bit of a different start that I think a lot of people have. It also explains why I'm comparatively young. So when I was 16, I started shooting and working with like small designers. I was living in London at the time. I went to New York on a scholarship to study digital photography, and then after we graduated high school, my now husband and I moved back to Australia, or back for me, he's American, and I went to RMIT to study my Bachelor of Arts in photography, and I was majoring in fashion. Throughout university I did a lot of different photography jobs, and then when we adopted Lyra, who is now asleep, so I'm pointing at the floor, you can't see her. Anyway, when we adopted Lyra, I fell absolutely head over heels. I was at the time really focusing in on my fashion photography, and within less than 12 months later, I had quit all of that and decided I was going to be a pet photographer. The first business I did was Natural Pet Photography, really unique business name. After a couple of months, I relaunched as Ragamuffin Pet Photography. That was 6 years ago now, and for the first year and a half, my bread and butter was kindergarten photography, and then I was slowly building up Ragamuffin, and I've been full-time for about 4.5 years now. So that's the background of Ragamuffin. I can't see me stopping anytime soon. I absolutely adore my job. Ups and downs as any small business does, but I always figure it's better to be busy than not busy. My main goal this year is working on work-life balance, but I love my job, I love my clients, I love what I do, and I think I'm very, very lucky. There was Animal Charities who helped me in that first year and a half when I was trying to become full-time, let me come on board, and obviously I was helping them back, but the belief that they had in me, like Kirsty from Pets Haven was amazing, and yeah, anyway, once I started having more clients, word of mouth built, and it just rolled from there. And yeah, now I work on Ragamuffin 6 days a week. Bella Labradorable, which is an adorable Instagram name, asks, "How do you overcome camera shy animal? Our Labrador Bella was photographed a lot as a puppy and now has an aversion to camera phones." So that's kind of similar to the question that Stephanie asked about also Bella, the anxious dog. Although camera shy is a little different to human shy. But basically what I would be doing if I came out to photograph Bella, or if you want to try photographing her, is let me grab a treat. You get either a favorite toy or a schmacko. What you want to do is, if Lyra wasn't so far down, I could show you. I will give you a treat there. What you want to do basically is show her the toy or treat or whatever it is. If it's a treat, give some to her. Keep half of it, which is why I use schmackos, because they're really easy to tear. So it means that I can lean down. I would be able to give Bella half of it, tear off the other half as she's eating. Sorry, Lyra, there you go. Tear off the other half. Oh, I just dropped that schmacko into my cup of tea. I'm glad I was almost done. Anyway, lean down, give it to her, tear up the other half, and then put the treat or the toy or whatever right close to the lens, and then take the photo. And her eyes will follow it. If you do it a few times, like she might not get used to it straight away, you do it a few times and then they'll get used to, they get the treat, they look at the camera, they get the treat again. There you go. That's my little trick to getting dogs looking straight at the camera. Amanda Penrose says, "How do you lock in clients while out and about, /@markets without coming across as pushy. I have no advice to give you there, Amanda. I cannot imagine anything more terrifying than trying to sell to someone while I was out and about. I've never done it before in my life. I don't imagine I would ever do it. So I apologize for that. Suzanne asks, how did you go about publishing your book? Any advice? I'm thinking about doing a coffee table book, but I have no idea where to start. Assume you're referring to Tales of Melbourne, which I don't have near me, but for those of you who don't know, I self-published a coffee table book about dogs in Melbourne, and it was quite a roller coaster in an awesome way. I had some seriously steep learning curves, but the end result was amazing, and I'm planning to do it again. Tales of Tasmania is next. Actually, even though it's like awkward to, wasn't planning to tell you all via this, but so I'm planning to put together a course. It's on the very early stages, but planning to put together an online course for other pet photographers to teach them how to publish their own photography book, because yeah, I could talk for hours and hours to you guys about everything that I learnt. I think it's a really great business goal to have. It was really, really rewarding. I met a lot of great people doing it. So I believe I'm going to call it Tales of Success. Lordy knows when it will be ready to get out there, because I'm fully booked with Ragamuffin until December. So yeah, I'm trying to do it in the in-between bits, and I will definitely let you all know when that happens. And finally, my lucky last, Nellie Kitri. Petri? Can't talk today. Anyway, Nellie has been a lovely supporter of Ragamuffin for many years now. Oh, she sent 10. I might not answer 10 because no one will ever listen to me again. I tell you what, I'll answer a few now, and then if you guys like this Q&A, I'll do another one, and I'll start with the other ones from Natalie's. Let's see. Lyra, you want to come up? You can come up, I can tell. You know you're not a lap dog technically. Okay, come. Hi. What is the widest aperture you will use for pets and the slowest shutter? So I almost always will be shooting at 2.8 unless it's a really bright day. I just like the bokeh and that soft focus from a 2.8. I would probably go lower, except I'm almost exclusively shooting on my 24 to 70mm. I don't shoot on primes for pets because I'm a lazy motherfucker and I don't want to run backwards and run forwards and all of that. I like being able to quickly change my composition in zoom, which is completely different to how I used to shoot. But yeah, 2.8. And the slowest shutter, I will go pretty low on the shutter speed. Obviously not if they're moving all around, but I would have no issue going to a 60th of a second if we were shooting at night, or it's a cat like frozen under a bed and I want to just get him slowly used to it, but it's really dark under there. Obviously it's not ideal to be shooting at the 60th of a second, and I definitely couldn't do it if I wasn't stabilized on something. But yeah, I break all the rules. I go, you should see how high my ISO goes. It's all good. Do I talk to potential clients a lot before they book? I've been told you should speak to everyone involved in the shoot and get them emotionally invested into the session in order to book them, but this seems like a lot of work just to get people in. You know, it really varies. I don't think I speak that much to clients before they book, not intentionally, just it's sort of they send an inquiry, I'll send an email back, and generally because I do tend to ramble a bit, or as I like to say, I like my clients to be well informed, they don't tend to have a whole lot of questions after my reply, and it will mostly be that they book in. I send them a link to the booking form on the website and they book in, or they won't, and they'll let me know that they're, normally if they're not going to, it's because it's a budget thing. Although ever since I started doing the pocket sessions, I haven't had that issue either, because it's designed for people with lower budgets. So yeah, I don't particularly talk to people a whole lot. I talk to people a lot during their session, and the questionnaire, any Ragamuffin parents will know that the questionnaire is pretty in-depth, because I like to know a lot about the animals and their home and their style and the client and everything. I like to know a lot before I start shooting. I just get that all in a questionnaire. So yeah, basically no. Where do I source my packaging from and what do I use? Brown paper. What are your favorite lenses for pet shoots? 24 to 70, 70 to 200 for action shots, shy pets, anything like that, or if I want a really blurry background. And then also the 17 to 40 for when I'm shooting blind, which Alona from Scruffy Dog Photography taught me how to do. It's amazing. Basically when you have the camera not to your eye. So I use a really wide, almost fisheye lens for that, and it gives really goofy, ears flapping, tongue flapping shots of the dog running. That's the only time I use that really, really wide one. Where do I print my promotional products, prints, canvases, albums through? I print my albums and canvases from Celdex here in Melbourne. They're not the cheapest supplier by any means, but they're the best quality that I've found personally. What programs do I run? Lightroom, Photoshop, Fundy, ProSelect, and Emotive. Well, you almost listed them all. I run Lightroom. I do almost all my initial editing, definitely in Lightroom. My catalog, photo management, all of that is all in Lightroom. Anything after the ordering session, that might get taken into Photoshop for eye goober removals or leash removals or anything like that, but almost everything is in Lightroom. Fundy I use to build my albums. Any photographers out there who doesn't know about Fundy, get on it, love them. ProSelect I use for my ordering appointments, which for Ragamuffin parents, they'll recognize that really awesome program where I have the big projector in the studio and we get to see their photos on the wall, the actual size that they would be. It's really, really helpful. What else I use? Oh, I use Premiere Pro for behind the scenes type videos, anything like that, and then I use iMovie for my Ragamuffin slideshows. I just use iMovie because it's really, really easy and the slideshows are all like, they need a lot of cuts or anything like that, but I use Premiere Pro for more complicated stuff. Johnny and I also have like a weekly vlogging channel. We use Premiere Pro for that. I use Photo Mechanic to cull through initially. It's just a quicker way to go through all your files. I think it loads smaller previews or something like that. So get rid of eye blinkies, out of focus, blurries, all that jazz, and just cull down the ones that I actually want to look at individually and edit. And then the last one, Blog Stomp. So all the photos I put on Facebook, on the bottom right corner they have the Ragamuffin logo, but then maybe 2 years ago I started also putting the copyright at a different area in the photo just because I had people stealing my photos. So now there's a copyright there too, but I use Blog Stomp because I move that around depending on the actual composition of the photo. Let's see, let's have one more question. What suggestions do you have for someone starting a photography business or running a photography business with no money? I end up with $20 each week after bills and school fees, so how am I supposed to market and get clients? I can't buy products to display or pay for ads or anything without more money. Okay, totally understand, and you really don't have to spend that much money once you already have the gear and stuff. Obviously the initial investment in the photography business isn't tiny, but once you have your gear, which I know you do, there's no need for you to be buying ads. I don't have ads anywhere. You don't need ads. Products to display, you do need. So that's, I guess, just put that $20 aside for a bit and get your products. I would say you need an album for people to look through, a canvas, and a small print. What you can do, which is what I did at the beginning, is obviously you don't need lots of things of all the different sizes. So I had a sample canvas that I lugged to people's houses because that's before I had the studio set up. And then I went to Officeworks or Spotlight or something like that, and I just got card and I cut it up into all the different possible sizes that it could have, so then we could put the card up on the wall and see the potential sizes. But in terms of advertising, you don't need to be spending that much. I would put more of your focus on building your search engine optimization. So really put a lot of energy into your website and making sure you're #1 listing for your area. And then don't worry about your competitors, because I saw your other question about your competitors underpricing you. So many people underprice me. I don't think about it too much, because just do you focus on your work and focus on finding the clients who really respect you and want to work with you because of what you're doing rather than your pricing. It would be my advice. And then what was your last thing? Oh, and finally, when does my mentor program start? You know what? I would totally contact you first. As soon as I'm ready to do like actual mentoring, you are #1 on my list. You're the best. She's been asking me for years because she's a sweetheart. Cool. All right. That's all the questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, do let me know if you found this helpful or if you want me to do another one. If you do, you can leave a comment below with a question that you have if you have one. Good luck with your business if you're a photographer. Good luck with your fur kids if you're a Ragamuffin parent or just a dog lover in general. And yeah, thank you so much guys. Have a wonderful one. Bye.